taking some time off and collecting clues about what works. Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's been a little bit, okay, about a month. I've missed you, but yet it's totally cool. I've been celebrating all the things that I've been doing along the way. And I got to tell you, while it seems like a lot of people kind of justify or explain everything that's been happening when they take time off, um, I'd like to actually talk about something a little bit different. It's not about why I took the time off. It's not about how glorious it was, but to be very honest with you, it's about really taking the opportunity to look at what I've learned during this time off. Every time I take this kind of extended period off, and I got to tell you, it started off with, a week when I was active duty, because that's all that I could get off at a time. And then maybe 2 weeks off in between duty stations. And 2 weeks always seemed like it was that magical number. Like you can't leave for much longer than this because everything falls apart at work, at home. People miss you. You need to keep on doing the work. And I got to tell you, this time it was about 3.5 weeks. And while I've rarely been able to take that kind of time off, every time I do it, I think it's amazing. And that we really need to emulate the Europeans who do this every single year. I do notice that, I have a tendency to still try to like justify why I'm doing it, but I'm not getting into that. I'm not explaining myself, but there's really what I learned from it. So let's go through this. Number one, I'm done adulting. I need a vacation from adulting. I was in a co-parenting role with my sister on this trip, but yet I felt like I was being a kid throughout the entire trip. I checked my adult hat at the door and I looked at this Western road trip through the eyes of a child. And I was like, man, I want to have this more often. It doesn't have to be just on the trip. I can look at things through the eyes of a child in my day to day. Number two, things that I learned about myself. I'm all about giving myself gifts. And that's in the sense of planning ahead for, taking care of myself in the future. So take this for example. So like arranging things like my baggage ahead of time so that I have a smooth launch in the morning. That may seem like adulting, but to be honest with you, I look at this as, how could I prepare myself so that in the morning it was just glorious. I'd already set myself up for success, the whole family up for success. If all I need to do is get a little bit of liquid, courage, coffee, in the morning, I'm all set. The other way that I looked at this was raiding the local grocery store, the night before to make sure that we had food options for the next day when we were on a really long, a long leg that we were going to be driving. And so when we opened up the drawer in the cooler on that ride, it was like opening up a golden chest with all the gifts that we had left for ourselves from the night before, which it was random. I mean, it could be hard-boiled eggs. It could be, cheese. It could be veggies. It could be apples. It could be candy. It could be chips, all of it. We set ourselves up for success by leaving those little gifts for ourselves. And then we didn't have to feel that pressure of stopping at the next gas station and praying if they would have something that we actually wanted. Number three, I am all about the surprises. What's around the next corner? Where can I find delight and joy and the next breathtaking vista? If you've ever driven out west, the terrain and the scenery, they just keep changing over every single hill. You'll find something different. And I felt like I was in different moonscapes or coming into this beautiful hidden forest. It was like being on some kind of a movie set. And I got to tell you, finding cowboys in their natural habitat is absolutely stunning. So but it was all the surprises because I kept on looking for what else is there. Number four, I love being outside, period. Get me out, let me stretch, let me breathe the air, and let me just move. There's this freedom that I feel around being outside. Number five thing that I learned, fun. Fun is such a fantastic, motivating place for me. I'll do just about anything that I think will be fun. And when I am having fun in the moment, go figure, I keep going. It sounds like a no brainer, but the thing is that I'm actually creating the fun. I'm not waiting for someone else to give it to me. And that's something that really works for me and for my family. And then the sixth thing, I know we're getting long here. The sixth thing that I learned is that the less stuff that I have to coordinate, clean, keep track of, absolutely the better. So I lived out of two small carry-on bags for 1 month. And to be honest with you, I could have lived off of a lot less, just with, washing and reusing. And it was something that I found that the less stuff that I had to worry about, the less stuff I had to worry about in general. It was really liberating for me. And so I'm cleaning stuff out here at home, getting rid of more things because I just don't want to have to worry about it. But so here's the thing. These are the things that I've learned, and now I'm translating them to, what works for me at home with my family in my day to day when I am working, not just on vacation. How can I use this information, all these things that are working for me? And the thing that I want to point out, the thing that I notice is every single one of these things that I have told you, it's a thought. They're all thoughts that work for me. Looking back at those thoughts, I love being outside. Fun is a great motivating place for me. The less stuff to coordinate, the better. I'm all about surprises. I'm all about giving myself gifts. I'm done adulting. But the thing that brings me joy are these thoughts, and they bring me encouragement and motivation. But they don't just bring them to me, I'm creating that. In coaching, we look at the connection between our thoughts, the story that we tell ourselves about what's working in our lives or what's not working. And these thoughts then create our emotions, our motivations, our mojo. And then the emotions are the super fuel for our lives. They lead us to do or not do just about anything. So when I look at the thoughts that I've collected about the past month, I see that I'm focusing on what it is that I do want. Heck, there's no reason for me to ever focus on what it is that I don't want because it's something that I'm creating this life. And the more that I create or focus on what it is that I do want, the more that I create of that. It's a beautiful cycle that I can see it playing out in my life day to day. How do you see that playing out in your life? The other thing is that I got a reminder for why my kids don't want to do the same things as me. So I love being outside. Well, for my kids, outside is hot and sticky and miserable, especially in July in the Midwest. Well, there goes the motivation. They don't see it the same way that I do. Although I have to share that renting an electronic bike was perhaps the secret sauce for us to enjoy our time together, and actually in the mountains. So the battery backup on those e-bikes made it so that we biked over 20 miles over the mountains with smiles. I got to tell you, it was really a sight to see. So just saying that there's some other parts that we can bring in here. What is it that looks like excitement or fun for our kids? What are the clues that you are collecting about what works for you? What works for your family? And these clues, They're simple sentences, your thoughts, and they generate the momentum that we need. It's the momentum that we find that this works for us and we want to create more of it. And so that's what we do. What I really did this past month wasn't take time off, but I was actually redirecting myself to what it is that I love. And when we do that, we find all the energy that we want and we need to keep going. Taking that time, finding out what works for you, and then bringing that to your day to day life. So it's true. Slow down, focus on what is working, and throw more love and energy and effort in that direction. That is your path forward. So much love to you. I will see you again next week.